Hey everyone, so I'm going to go over the Is It Alive Characteristics of Life lab and go over the steps, the part that you need to see. There's other parts that require websites. So make sure you have in the assignment on Canvas, open it up. In the instruction, there's a PowerPoint guide. Make sure you have that open because that will have links to websites that you'll need to go to. So make sure you start off with, come up with at least one characteristic of life that you remember from biology. Now we're gonna do our initial observations. So here, let me pull up my little background story. It says, you're a laboratory exobiologist that studies the presence of life on other planets. The team of explorers just returned home after a long journey to a new planet. They brought back samples of specimens from this planet, and your job is to determine any of these samples contain any signs of life. You get the work and label your first specimen as specimen 626. Place the unknown specimen in a petri dish to observe and study, and then you'll record your observations. So this is specimen 626. So take a look at it. And make some observations and record that for number 2 on your sheet. So that's specimen 626 initial. Okay, I wish I had my laptop. Okay, you follow the exobiology laboratory manual to perform the listed tests and experiments to see if specimen 626 meets any of the characteristics of life. Add sugar and warm water to the specimen in the petri dish. Use a pipette to stir the mixture, put the lid of the petri dish on, and check on the specimen in around 20 minutes to observe and record your observations for test 1. We ended up doing 24 hours because there wasn't much changes after 20 minutes. So what happened was we put a scoopful of just sugar, we poured a little bit of warm water, this isn't warm, in here, we put the lid on, and we waited 24 hours. And I'll show you the results. And here is the results after 24 hours. So you're gonna make some observations of what it looks like. Yeah, look at that. Look at that. That's after 24 hours. So something happened. So record your observations of what it looks like. Now for number 3. If you could smell this, it kind of smells like beer, alcohol, maybe like vinegar, apple cider vinegar. It has more like a vinegar alcohol smell to it. You smelt it. So record that observation. You're gonna do one more observation for number, oh sorry, this wasn't for number 3. This was for number 6. Number 3, you were supposed to write the steps of what we did for the test, like we added sugar, warm water for the test, and waited 24 hours. So put that for number 3. Number 4, you'll need to go to that link. Number 7, characteristic is missing from that website. So you're gonna put adapt/evolve, and then put down organisms are adapted to their environment, survive and reproduce, and put then the species will change over time for number 7. But all the other 6 are on that website. This one, we watched the video and answered the questions. So now we're doing number 6. So record this observation for number 6. There's one more observation we're gonna do. On that slide, next slide, I think it talks about bromomethyl blue as a chemical indicator. When an acid is present, the chemical will turn yellow. So if it's less than 6 on the pH scale. If oxygen's present, so carbon dioxide dissolved in water will become acidic. So carbon dioxide makes water acidic. So if it turns yellow, that means that carbon dioxide's present and it's acidic. If it remains blue, oxygen is present, and that means the pH is higher than 7.6, so it's more basic if it stays blue. Because so look right here, the chemical is blue. So I'm gonna add it in here and see what happens. That turned yellow, right? So record that observation. that turn yellow. So what does that mean? Well, it means that that liquid is acidic, so less than 6 on the pH scale, and that means that CO2 was produced in that liquid to make it acidic. Okay, so for the next part, that was number 6. For number 7, you'll go to that website, read about respiration. So this is going to be talking about cellular respiration. There's one type called anaerobic respiration without oxygen. There's a specific type called alcoholic fermentation. When you get to this, based on your test result or your observations, what characteristic of life were we testing? If you go back to the equation right here for cellular respiration, the main goal is ATP energy. So energy is the goal. Yes, CO2 is produced, because we know CO2 was produced. We know sugar was added. We know CO2 is produced. But the main goal is ATP energy. We can't see the ATP energy, but we know it happened because of CO2. So what characteristic of life from your list deals with, what's it called? With energy. And there's the one that was on here, I told you to like put in parentheses the word that's involved with it that starts with the letter M. So it does start with the letter M. Okay, this one, you're supposed to look at the underneath the microscope. And so I'm going to kind of try to put my phone up to the microscope, see if you can see what the specimen looks like. Let me see. Give it a second. See those little circles kind of moving around? It's kind of hard to see. There's, oh, right there, you can see it. All these little circles. Let me try another microscope, see. I'm not very good at this. Nope, that microscope doesn't do very well. I'll try one more time. Nope, but you saw in that first microscope, they looked like a whole bunch of little circles. So kind of describe that. I'm sorry I couldn't get it any better. Okay, for number 9, you need to look at slide 8, and there's a picture of a scanning electron microscope image that you will write some observations about. So there's a different type of microscope, high power, called a scanning electron microscope. Look at that picture on slide 8 in the guide to make that observation. Then you will go read this reading and answer these questions. I'll let you know there's 3 characteristics. Well, we had one that was over here. We have 3 more we saw between test 2 and 3, looking at the scanning electron microscope, looking at the microscope right there, and then this information right here kind of gives you some information. And so there's 3 characteristics going on right here. And if you want me to check your answers later, I can help you. Okay, now take a guess what you think the specimen, this alien quotation mark, specimen is. Take a guess. Then you are going to create a CER based off of this question. Does specimen 626 meet the requirements to be considered a living thing? And that last slide in that PowerPoint guide has instructions for writing a CER. Okay, has to be a minimum of 5 sentences. Minimum. So it's 5 to 7. Make sure you read this, follow directions. So this will be based off that scientific question. And your claim is like an opening statement, like you're going to answer as like a yes or no, like does or does not. Make sure you're writing complete sentences, like detailed, like don't put it is living. Like, what are we talking about? Like expect like someone who doesn't know what's going on is reading your paper. Be descriptive, be detailed. Don't use like very generic words like it, because we have no clue what it is. So, and then your evidence is at least a minimum of 3 evidences. Make sure you explain, like you can say that it shows signs of reproduction. Like explain, like once you do that reading, you'll know why it did that. And so make sure you're explaining that in reasoning. You can start off, it's like a conclusion sentence, tying everything together. You can start off with like because, therefore, when, if, clearly, since, as a result, like a little conclusion sentence. So you're gonna write a CER. You should have done one in biology and some other sciences as well. And then make sure it's in your lab notebook. We're gonna submit it through OneDrive. So you'll scan this page using OneDrive and then click add page, because I don't want to have a different image for each page. So add page and scan the second one, third one, fourth one, name it, and you can upload it directly from OneDrive. Once you save the file, open it up, click the 3 dots, hit open with another app, and select Canvas, and then select My Class, and then select assignment, and then submit, and it's turned in right there from OneDrive. If you have any questions, need help on that, let me know and I can help you. Well, so this is it a live characteristics of life lab. If you have any questions, let me know.